Good evening, Scouters, and thank you for joining us tonight. This is the first installment of us talking to you, the Scout Masters and the troop leaders, about spring recruitment. My name is Livingston Keithley. I'm the Vice President of Membership for the Greater Colorado Council of Scouting Colorado. I appreciate you being here tonight. We've got a great program for you. We're going to have you hear from 3 or 4 successful troops in our council about their best practices for recruiting. We're going to talk about the ways that your troop can do recruiting and help increase the number of youth that you serve and that participate, as well as the number of adults that participate in your programs. It's important that we grow scouting. Now that we have the new name change in place with Scouting America and Scouting Colorado, and now that we're past some of the other trip and falls that we had over the past 5 years, we want to grow scouting and let everyone enjoy what we are able to deliver through our fantastic program. Let me start by asking you a question. What do you think of when you think about scouting? What image comes to mind? For some people, it's a Pinewood Derby car. For some people, it's hiking. For some people, it's a rope bridge. For some people, it's an Eagle project. The biggest point, though, is that scouting is about adventure. It's about character building. It's about leadership development. And most of all, it's about having fun. And that's the key to successful recruiting at the troop level. You serve middle schoolers and high schoolers. They don't want to build Pinewood Derby cars anymore or do crafts down in the basement of a den leader's house. They want to get out. They want to go hiking. They want to go in town. They want to learn how to be independent. And you're helping teach them how to do those things and how to become great people in our world. We're in the second year of what we've referred to in the membership committee as the COVID wave. What is the COVID wave? Well, the COVID wave obviously started in 2020 when everything shut down, right? And our Cub Scout packs had to shut down because they couldn't meet in the schools and they couldn't meet in the church basements anymore. Fast forward 5 years, it's 2025, right? You've probably noticed when you've gone to crossover ceremonies that there are less Arrow of Light Scouts and Webelos Scouts and Bear Scouts than you're used to seeing. That's because those are the classes that would have been Tigers 5 years ago. They're not there. They're not there. So we're really putting an effort in now to encourage troops like yours to get out and recruit outside of just crossover from your Cub Scout packs. You still need to go to those Cub Scout packs. You still need to entice those Webelos and those Arrow of Lights to cross the bridge and come to your troop. But there's not as many of them anymore. You need to find their friends and you need to go to their schools and recruit there as well. Most all of you used to be leaders in your Cub Scout pack when your son or your daughter were participating in Cub Scouts. You remember doing those fall roundups and putting out flyers and chalking sidewalks and having open houses and inviting people to come visit the unit, right? And it was successful. It brought Cub Scouts into your pack. Well, now we're asking you to do the exact same thing at your troop. It's that simple. Go out, find out how to put flyers into the flyer folders for your school that you serve. Invite people to come to a troop meeting. Have an open house to invite parents, right? Tell your youth, give them buddy cards and have them invite a friend. They have to do that for their rank advancements anyway. They're supposed to bring at least one person, have them bring 2. Have them invite folks to be able to come. You'll hear through this program how to order some of those resources and how the council can support you in recruiting more scouts into the troop. Listen to that, talk to your district executives, get whatever resources we can provide for you to help you have a successful recruiting season. But let me ask you this, make your recruiting season more than just going to a crossover. Have an open house, invite folks to come. This is the time to get those youth in as you register for summer camp, as you plan out the rest of your awesome summer. This is the time to get them in. They want to come out, they want to have fun. Parents are looking for organizations like your Scout Troop where they can have their youth learn character building, leadership, and personal responsibility. You have those skills. You just have to tell them about yourself, introduce yourself, and get out there and recruit them and bring them in. Always remember, in your troop, this is where the fun really happens. What you do is what people think about when they hear the word scouting. They think about outdoors. They think about camping, they think about service projects, they think about fun. Capitalize on that, and you'll have a successful recruiting season. I appreciate you coming tonight. Enjoy the presentation, and go Buffaloes.
Hi, Diane. Thank you so much for joining us. Could you tell us a little bit about Troop 113G?
Certainly. Well, thanks for having me. Troop 113G is a troop for girls. We are partnered with 113B, which is a troop for boys. So we do share a committee and are linked that way. We are a fairly new troop. We started with 2019 when Scouts BSA started all of the fun troops. We're a fairly new troop. We've grown incredibly. And we're just now starting to explore like some high adventures. We did Sea Base last year. We're doing Philmont this year. But primarily we're focused on getting the scouts outdoors. We go camping once a month. We do summer camps every year. So it's really just getting those youth outside and learning all kinds of skills.
So fun. Amazing. So, how would you say Troop 113 what's your current approach to recruitment?
Well, currently we focus on the Cubs because we're up to 28 members now, so we've grown
Great.
incredibly. But in the past, we've done an all-over approach. We do stuff in the community, we do stuff with packs, we do peer-to-peer. We just try to do as much as possible to cover as many avenues as we could imagine.
That's perfect. Amazing. So, in your recruitment efforts over the past few years, what type of challenges have you run into and how have you overcome them as a troop for girls and just in general?
So the biggest challenges were when we started. We only started with 6 members. So trying to get those numbers up, we did a variety of things. We did a skate city outing where we had a table with posters and scouts there to talk to people and community members. We did ice skating activities where we were out there with a table again so that the scouts could talk to other youth that would come up. We did Cub Scout events when they would need help with Pinewood Derbies or with their join nights. We did trash cleanups where we were all out and visible out in the community. We would do parades. We did root beer float stands instead of a lemonade stand. So we tried to do just about anything and everything that we could. And then we also did a lot of peer to peer. So scouts would invite friends on a day hike we were doing, or scouts would invite friends to a Dutch oven cook-off that we were doing. So they really tried to recruit from all areas that we could. And it really kind of helped. In that first year, we started with 6, and by the second year, we had 12 scouts. So it really, anything you can imagine to help get some youth involved and interested is amazing.
Wow, that's great. Doubling your membership in a year. That's wonderful. Um, so you had mentioned that you did a lot of community events and a lot of peer-to-peer. Was there anything in that realm that really worked for you all specifically, or that was a bigger recruitment event?
So we partnered with our charter organization. They have we are chartered with the church. They have a weekend where they showcase youth groups. So we would go into the church for the services and have a table with, again, with posters, and when we'd have scouts there and we'd have scouts participate in the service. So we really kind of partnered with them to help get some visibility within the church community. And then also when we'd have community cleanups, we'd always have a presence in with any type of community cleanup that was out there so that again, we're visible, we're out there, people can find out, people can ask questions. And then there's also the scouting community. So we actually, our largest recruitment year, we had 10 crossovers come into our troop, which was huge. Um,
Wow.
but we got that because we went to the Cub Scout Family Day Camp and we actually staffed the Cub Scout Family Day Camp. So we, again, had a great big visibility. Every time they were rotating through to different areas, we're handing out our information to parents, even the parents that had tigers, because, going up, they're going to get there. Again, the community involvement, just anything and everything you can. And with the peer-to-peer, there's always that requirement where you have to talk to scouting to a friend. So trying to get them to do more than just talk to the scouts, trying to get them to come to fun activities like when we would do a skating activity or when we would do a Dutch oven cook-off or when we were doing geocaching so they could come and do geocaching with us. It's
Fun.
getting them to see the activities that are possible with scouting.
Yeah, sounds like you have some great events and opportunities for new scouts as well. So that's wonderful. Um, in your relationship with the as a troop with the local pack, how has that impacted your recruitment and crossover efforts?
That's also been a huge thing, both to keep the packs going because, COVID was a challenge enough with Scouts BSA, but trying to keep a 5-year-old engaged on a Zoom thing is really tough. So, being a presence with them when they have their join nights to run games while their parents are being talked to so you can keep the youth involved. Helping out with the Pinewood Derbies. We currently have 3 den chiefs in packs right now. So that's another huge thing because those scouts in the Cub Scout level are looking up to somebody who's in scouting, and so they're more likely to cross over into scouting versus ending their scouting career at AOL. So
Totally.
it does both. It helps the pack become viable and keep going, and then it helps us because, well, of course, they want to go into the troop that their den chief was in. So it really kind of works both ways. And the cool thing is den chiefs are not limited to gender. So one of our den chiefs is currently a den chief for a wolf den that is all boys. So it really works incredibly, but the other scouts in that pack see that den chief. So it really encourages them to do that. And part of the scout law is the scout is helpful. So if our scouts are being helpful and helping with Pinewood Derbies, with rain gutter regattas, with join nights, it's again living that scout oath and law.
Yeah, showing the Cubs how to really be a scout. That's amazing. Well, thank you. Is there any last tips or tricks about recruitment that you would like to share with the rest of our troops in the council?
Um, be open. Be open to any ideas that are out there. And the biggest thing with recruitment is to let these youth that are coming in that aren't really sure, let them know this is a safe, fun place to be. A place to explore new things, to try out stuff. Maybe hold a rocket launch or something, but just really be open to doing something outside the box. Because a lot of times that brings in more than just scouts to your troop. It brings in the parents as well, which is always helpful. But as long as it's a safe and welcoming place, you're going to get those scouts and you're going to be able to keep those scouts.
Amazing. Thank you so much for your time and your advice. We really appreciate you taking some time, Diane.
Oh, you're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Hi, Jennifer. Thanks so much for joining us today. Can you tell us a little bit about your troop?
Sure. So we are Troop 2119. We're a girls troop out of Lakewood, Colorado. We meet weekly on Mondays. And we have a brother troop as well, but the girls are fairly autonomous, and we have about 25 girls in our troop.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. Can you just tell us a little bit about how you, with the Troop for Girls, approach recruiting girls specifically into scouting?
Sure. So I would say we have maybe a little bit of a unique challenge, as other girls troops probably know, with recruiting, since the Cub Scouts is definitely growing with Girls and Cub Scouts, but not everyone that joins our troop is from Cub Scouts, because that pipeline is still getting more robust. And so we have to think a little bit broader and bigger of how do we reach other girls in the community that might not know about scouting. So that is where we've also tried to focus. I try to focus also, or I guess part of my passion is really empowering young girls to be strong, confident leaders. And how can you do that? I think there's a variety of avenues. One of the ways I think, which is great, is through scouting and really trying to get that message out there to parents, to families, to girls. And then frankly, just making it fun, like having a good culture where people want to be, and then having a good program and building on that. And so part of how we try to recruit girls is just, of course, friends of friends in the troop. Also, we reach out to some of the local schools and try to get the word out that way, and And then just trying to hold some more fun events just so the girls can come and kind of experience. A lot of times that we have girls walking in and they don't understand what's the difference between us and Girl Scouts, what is scouting? I don't understand really what this means. So it's a big kind of education to kind of get them going. But I think once you can hook them into some of that fun element, it kind of starts to roll from there.
Totally. What would you say is one successful event, recruitment event that you've put on recently?
So we've had a recruitment event at CAP where we went to Colorado Adventure Point and we've done rock climbing and archery. Now we do those independently, but where we have an event there. So it kind of draws people in within a hands-on activity and then have some just activities around that at CAP. So we just do it for about an hour and a half or so, just open house event where we invite people just to come to meet us and just to do something fun that's scouting related.
Awesome. Sounds like you're really focused on quality program and keeping the girls excited and having fun with scouting. What would you say is your last word of advice or tips or trick for other troop leaders that are looking to recruit new scouts?
Sure. So I think definitely you have to have the drumbeat on recruiting. That's one mistake I think we've made in the past where we weren't always consistent. So having the consistency and trying to reach the girls and draw them in. But I think really where you get the girls, one, more interested in scouting, and two, you really are able to keep them in the troop is having a strong program. And so we've really focused a lot on working with our girls and what are the activities that you want to do? What are the trips you want to take? Making sure we have, of course, all the monthly camping trips, but then also what are some of the bigger things we want to do? And so we brainstormed with our troop last year just to say, what do you guys want? Like, what are the activities that really are speaking to you or that you really want to be able to have those experiences? And they said they wanted an international trip. We're like, okay, well, that sounds great. And so we did some research. We talked to them. Long story short, we set up, we're going to Switzerland next year. So that's a big one for us. And then they love Camp Lowell. They did Camp Lowell outside of Yellowstone a few years ago, and they wanted to do that again. And so I think when you go to the community and you say, hey, we're going to a camp outside of Yellowstone, we're taking our troop to Switzerland, and then also you have all the monthly events, that really does kind of pique their interest. Now, I think you can have that, but you also need to reinforce that with a great culture, because frankly, you want girls to feel like they belong. You want to make even the weekly meetings fun. You want to make sure that they're feeling like they're productive. And so it's a combination of like having a great program, but then also really fostering that culture where you're welcoming, where they feel like they're getting a lot of value out of scouts and that they're just having fun along the way. So that I would say is really where we focus, just to make sure that the troop stays healthy and vibrant. We can attract new people, but we also keep the great scouts that we have.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much, Jennifer, for your time. And I hope you all have fun in Switzerland.
Well, thank you. Me too. Great talking.
Ace, thanks so much for joining us today. Could you tell us a little bit about Troop 16?
Yeah, hi, thank you for having me. My name's Blaze Singer. I'm the committee chair for Troop 16. And previous to that, I was actually committee chair at a Cub Scout unit for about 5 years. But yeah, Troop 16 is a troop here in Parker. We're a large troop, been around for about 52 years. We currently have 79 scouts on our roster. We are very active. We do a lot of camping, usually camping once a month. And it's a great troop to be a part of.
Amazing. So can you tell me a little bit about Troop 16 and how you all currently approach recruitment?
Yeah, so we approach recruitment from many different ways. We try to just plug in any which way we can. We don't necessarily have one large specific recruiting event, but I can tell you about the things we do that seem to be working for us. Starting with just our internet presence. We do have a Facebook page, but that's a closed group. It's just for our families to share photos and things like that. But we have our website. So if someone were to just Google search Boy Scout troops in Parker, whatever, that will come up. And then my information and our Scoutmasters information is on there, so we can easily be contacted if someone has questions. And then our Be a Scout pin is active. with our Scoutmasters information, contact information on there. So that's kind of our internet presence, just from a quick search someone might do. Then we go to the district, actually our district recruiting event, previously called the Webelos Red Carpet event, where they advertise to all the Cub Scout units to come and, choose a troop. So we're always there. We plan a camp out every fall that is not only for our troop, but we invite the Cub Scouts in the area along with their friends if they want to, just to come join us for the day. There's really fun activities set up for them. So when we're at the Webelos Red Carpet event, we have our flyer ready. We have some of our scouts there. They're talking to the Cub Scouts about it, kind of hyping that up. So we usually have quite a few Cub Scouts who will come to that. And from those scouts, a lot of them do end up joining the troop. And then you go to peer-to-peer recruiting. We don't specifically prompt our scouts to invite friends to meetings, but there's the one requirement, advancement requirement, that says they should. So we have that happen. But I think just our program in general, we have a really strong program. We camp once a month. Our meetings tend to be really interactive and fun. And so scouts just naturally want to invite their friends. It doesn't happen often, but I would say each year we probably have 2 to 3 friends join. So over time, you just kind of keep plugging away and that adds up.
Yeah.
Another thing we do is community presence. We try to be present in the community any way possible. So that's one thing. And then another thing we do is we try to have relationships with the Cub Scout units in our area. We have a specific relationship with the Cub Scout unit that meets at the same location we meet. So that unit in particular, we partner together a lot and support them in their recruiting efforts.
Thank you. Could you expand a little bit on your community presence and how you are out there in the community interacting with community members day to day?
Yeah. So like I said, any opportunity we can find to be present in the community with the scouts in their uniforms, we do. We do a food drive once a year where we partner with a local food bank, and we stand outside of the King Supers with them, and our scouts are in uniform and collect food. We do cleanup around the community, trash cleanup around the community. We do Wreaths Across America, where we lay wreaths on the headstones in a local cemetery. We participate in the parade, the Christmas parade in our town. We do cleanup for the Parker Days Festival. So things like that. And we have the scouts be in their uniforms. We participate in the council popcorn sales. So we're out in front of stores selling popcorn, things like that. And we'll have people approach us and ask us questions. And, I don't know that I can say there was ever a specific time someone joined, but I think being present and being out there helps scouting in general.
Yeah. Sounds like Troop 16 has kind of a year-round recruitment process that they follow, always being visible and in their community. That's great.
Definitely.
Is there anything else with your peer-to-peer recruitment? Has it affected your membership? Do you have members who are bringing in friends or anything else about peer-to-peer?
Yeah, I mean, we have friends who come in because, their friend is a scout in our unit and they hear about all the fun things that we're doing and all the really cool camping trips that we do, and they're interested. We've also had a few friends who, were scouts at a different unit, and maybe that unit died out, or maybe that unit isn't very active and that scout is really wanting to advance in their rank, especially as they get older, star life, they're wanting to get their eagle.
Mhm.
They need the support from the adults to do that. So we've had a couple where their friend is at troop 16 and they'll say, well, hey, come to my troop because you have support here and you can advance. So, that's happened a couple of times.
Yeah.
It's really just, like I said, we don't really ever prompt our scouts to, hey, invite friends, go tell your friends about us. They just do it on their own.
That's amazing. Sounds like they really love the program and the opportunities that they receive at Troop 16. That's
Yeah.
great to hear. So kind of lastly, how do the leaders in Troop 16 interact with recruitment, impact it, help support in what you've been discussing with me?
Yeah. One thing I just thought of, though, I wanted to add before we get to that would be with our Cub Scout units where we have the relationships with them. I just wanted to elaborate a little bit more on. So the one unit that we are specifically close to that meets at our same location, they recruit from a couple of local elementary schools, and we try to support them in their recruiting efforts any way we can. So, for example, a couple of the schools do, one does a fall festival, one does a spring festival. So the Cub Scout unit will offer to be there to support. But what happens is the troop actually sends boys over to help with that, because, it's helpful to have older scouts there. So we're there, we're in uniform, we're a presence, we're helping. But the recruiting is going into the Cub Scout unit, right? But that's fine because eventually that trickles up. So I think cultivating that kind of a relationship where you're supporting them helps all of us.
That's wonderful.
But back to the leaders. So I think what's another thing that's really important, and this doesn't feel like it's directly recruiting, but I feel like it's extremely helpful in drawing people to our unit and having them stay, is just having really good planning, communication skills, organization. So we're lucky we have a lot of adult support because we are a big unit. We have a lot of adults who are in volunteer roles. But so I'll say something about that too. As the committee chair, I think having someone in a role that fits them is really important. So I really try hard to reach out specifically to certain parents to ask them to fill certain roles because I know they'll be good at it. But, having someone who's really good at planning camping trips. We have a lot of really fun, different camping trips planned. We go camping once a month. Having those plans made, having good communication about that, being organized, being responsive to people if they have questions. When people reach out to me just inquiring about the unit, I feel like it's really important for me to be responsive very quickly, right? Because they could just go ask and inquire at a different unit. So I think that's where we thrive. And not to kind of go off on a tangent, but I think that goes back to even like our scouts inviting their friends. It's like, what you're going to get. You have support. You have good, fun things to look forward to. You have people to go to that will answer your questions and that will support you. And so I think we're really good at that. We try hard, that's for sure. But I'd say one last thing I want to add is I just personality wise, I'm the last person that likes to recruit. I'm not a salesman. I don't like asking people for things. So the idea of going out and doing what people think of when they think of recruiting makes me really uncomfortable. So I think finding all these little other ways, these little other niches to kind of plug in and work at, like you said, we're doing it year round, is what is helping us be healthy and successful.
That's awesome. Thank you so much, Blaze. Thanks for your time, for your tips and tricks for all the other troops in the council. We appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
I'm going to talk about Troop 2176. Back in about 2018, the committee asked me if I wouldn't start a girl troop. They were going to let girls into scouting, and how did we want to proceed putting our troops together. And so we started a girl troop. We started that first year with 7 girls, and we grew it to about 11 by the end of that year. And I was the first scoutmaster. And then my agreement with the troop committee was I would start the troop, get it up and running. And then once one of the dads or moms wanted to take over, I'd let them be the scoutmaster. So I did it for 1 year. And then behind the scenes, I was helping the new scoutmaster. And one of the things that they kind of did is try to combine the boy troop and the girl troop together, which is not always the best idea. So if troops have done that, it's not always the best idea. You want to let the girls grow on their own and the boys do their own thing, and you can do some joint campouts together when you have the both troops. But we went into COVID and limped along, but we did a lot of great programs behind the scenes. We still tried to meet face to face, but mask to mask at that time. A lot of outdoor activities we did, trying to keep everything going, keep the scouts' interest along. And then Mr. Juckham came along as the newest scoutmaster and took us to a whole new level. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Juckham now, and he can tell some of the great ideas that he did to grow the troop from roughly 11, 12 girls to, I don't know what we're at, 36, 40 girls. So rather huge.
Thanks, Mr. Davis. That was Kip Davis, Scoutmaster Emeritus for 2176. My name is Bobby Juckham. I'm the most recent, Emeritus Scoutmaster for 2176. Now we have Jacqueline Stevens as our Scoutmaster, and she's already started to do a great job. When I took over the troop, it was right out of COVID, and we were really trying to figure out what the new normal was for scouting. And so a lot of recruiting people, those ties, those pipelines had kind of broken during that time frame. So I sat down with my core group, which was Frank Wernline from 667. He's one of my ASMs, Kip Davis, Jeanette Lloyd, and then Jacqueline Stevens, and said, okay, let's figure out what the future of our group is. So in the very first question, or the question that you asked me, was, what have we done to recruit? We didn't focus on recruiting first. What we did is we focused on our culture first. What is the culture that we wanted to create for the Scouts? What was the identity that we wanted Troop 2176 to have? And so we came up with these 3 guiding principles. And the guiding principles are friendship, Scout skills or Eagle skills, and then leadership. And so our vision was that we create friendships within the troop. So everything needed to be fun first and foremost. And the vision for this is that each of the girls would sit there, become so tight of friends that when they were going on to become married or big events in their life, the college they were going to, or their first date or prom, that the first person they call would be another Scout. And that's a Scout from Troop 2176. So that was our first goal when putting together our guiding principles. The second goal that we really faced was the Scout skills or Eagle skills. Being brand new to scouting, as many of our ladies were, they were sisters of brothers of 21. But there was a bit of a stigma, and there's a stigma out there that, hey, somehow Scouting America made it easier so that the girls could become Eagle. And so one of the things that we were really strict to is not only proficiency, but excellence in each of the scouting skills. Whether it's starting a fire, not just in a tin in a parking lot in the middle of the summer, but at Camp Alexander when it's 2 degrees outside, and that's really when you're going to need it. So we really focused on those proper scouting skills and making sure they were proficient. And that's all of us, for everything from Kip teaching them knots and how to make rope, to proper camping skills, to camping tutorials, which is went along with ILST, just to teach them how to be exceptionally proficient, utilizing many of the tools and skills learned in NYLT. So that's the Scout skills, and that's a key component. And the final is leadership. And in the beginning, and you would sit there and say, and many of the parents said, hey, well, leadership is really in all scouting, right? Servant leadership is the model. But we took it seriously and not only sitting there making the troop scout led, which it's supposed to be, and wasn't really when I took it over, right? There were some components that were scout led, but a lot of it was ASM led, and I've seen in a lot of troops that's the case. But more importantly, investing into the girls. So we focused first on the culture, and that was critical. The second part about this, and I think that it goes without saying, is a strong relationship with district. And that doesn't mean, hey, I know who to call and I can call Scout Executive for Alpines, Charlie Morrow, and get him to answer the phone. But it's really saying, hey, how can we help you? How can we help the district? And being involved in the Weeblos weekends and the red carpet events and the Klondike, we missed nothing. And that was a critical part of ours because we were investing back in the district that was supporting us. And that relationship was beautiful for us because we had Kip, who's been in the district for a long time, and Jeanette, that's been in the district for a long time. But really what we did is we pushed more parents to be more involved. And what we found in doing that and creating that district or that relationship with district is in these events when they needed leadership, they immediately came to us and said, hey, I know you guys are strong leaders. What can we do? Or can we borrow this scout or that scout to come help lead and run and manage? And that also helped with our reputation and our culture out there. More importantly, our girls knew they were leaders and they knew that the district, the Alpine district and Scouting America thought that they were leaders. And that's a crucial part. So if you're going to get anything from scouting, it's the strong friendships, obviously, those Eagle Scout skills and that strong sense of leadership, which of course we test in the Eagle Border Review. One of the things that you had asked me was what challenges did we face? And I mentioned this just a moment ago. But the challenges that we faced and how we overcame them was this. We have a strong relationship with our brother troop. It sure happens and helps to have Kip Davis, the one who started both troops, as a part of my cadre. But most importantly, our brother troop scoutmaster truly supported our mission. We came through some growing pains. Obviously, I joined as scoutmaster, as Kip had said, in 2021. We were just allowed in 2019. So we don't have the same pipeline that the boys do. The girls haven't been involved in scouts and the culture of America. Girls haven't been involved in this version of scouting ever prior to 2019. So it's breaking that and it's updating our materials, right? It was wonderful that we have books now that have female pictures in them in comparison to boy pictures. But many of our songs still say, hey, I've got to get back to my husband or my wife. And that's a challenge, right? When they're singing songs at NYLT or campfires, which are obviously age centric, it's something that prior to being the scoutmaster of a girl troop, I really didn't pay attention to. But I pay a lot of attention to it now because I see their faces change. And when I see that and when I see their overall cadence change, it makes me rethink, hey, we could do better. And maybe that's what I'm saying. We could do better incorporating the girls into some of these activities, the females into some of these activities. But that really requires all of us to stand up and take that lead. Our girls are coming at a lightning pace to excel and show you that they're worthy. And so I really think that as a whole, we need to sit there at every opportunity to take that stand next to them and maybe not fight for them because we got to give them a voice to fight for themselves. And I know that that's not part of the recruiting, but a lot of that stuff is imperative and it's going to lead into my next aspect. There are some unique things that we did in 2176 that I haven't seen anywhere else. The very first thing that we did to incorporate our bigger scouts or our older scouts and their younger scouts is put together a big little sister program, a big sister, little sister program. So the older scouts would actually mentor scouts that are younger than them, and they would have families. If you think back to college and maybe you were in a fraternity or a sorority, it's very much that same concept and that same premise of having big and little sisters. This served two roles for us. Number one, you had people looking out for them, multiple people looking out for them, and many of them senior leadership or troop guides. And then making sure that they got the scout rank figured out and how to do blue cards and all of that type of stuff. So inherently, it helped with my in-grouping of my younger scouts. But more importantly, it tied my younger scouts into my older scouts so that when they're, hey, I need to get my Eagle project done, the young scouts know who they are, which is a challenge that we faced kind of when we first came in. There'd be somebody that would come back to the troop and say, hey, I'm here for my Eagle project. And they would look at him and go, yeah, I have no clue who you are. I've never seen you in this building. And that's kind of scary. So we really wanted to tie them together and make them cohesive. They have their patrols, and that's important. And not all of our big and little sisses stay in the same patrols. They commingle, and that works towards that troop cohesion, which is a big deal for us. I mentioned that we have our older scouts. When scouting started in 2019 for our females, they were in a mad dash to get to Eagle. And then once they got Eagle, they were probably in college or on their way to college. And it was a task to succeed and move on. What we tried to do is sit there and now bring them back. And so you've seen recently in our most recent Eagles that they've come back as JASMs, as assistant scoutmasters to come back and help the younger members and to help the troops so that the girls can see two things. Number one, Eagle is within your reach. They see females there with the Eagle knot and the Eagle badge, and that's important, and they watch them grow up through the process. Number two, it reinforces that culture that once you become Eagle, the biggest part of scouting is reaching down and grabbing others and bringing them along. And you hear that in our Eagle Border reviews where you start to say, hey, this person mentored me, and they're the reason I'm here, right? One of the things that we really do, besides the big little sisters to welcome into the troop, is our troop guide's sole job for all new scouts is to sit there and meet and sit in the back pocket of our new scouts and then group them with people that have like interests and people who have like mindsets as those brand new scouts to get them incorporated into it. We try to get the big little sisses as quickly as possible and make them a stronger unit moving forward. But here's why I think that we succeeded. Number one, I have a fantastic team of adults. Two, my scouts are absolutely amazing. But number three, we sat there and did a camp out every single month. Cold, hot, rain, snow, and we made them fun. We sat there and did unconventional tasks. It wasn't just PV and Medicine Mountain and Buffalo Bill, but we went to NASA down in Colorado Springs and did an astronaut event. We sat there and met with the Lieutenant Governor and made her a part of our troop, right? Lieutenant Governor Diana Primavera, we made her a part of our troop. We got tours of the Capitol. We sat there and met leaders in all aspects. We got involved in our community with the Rotary and the Palisade Peaches and the Harvest Festival in Arvada, where we're currently housed in King of Glory Church. So we tried to sit there and push ourselves out as much as possible, but we created an opportunity for them to thrive. So that when they're coming back to school, particularly after break, they said, hey, what'd you do during break? Hey, my scout troop went to movement and we climbed the climbing wall for 2 hours and then we all went and grabbed ice cream, right? And all these different activities make them excited, like they want to bring their friends in to do this cool stuff with them because their friends said, well, I just sat at home. And then that's the recruitment process, right? Since we don't have that avenue, sure, in the beginning we brought Girl Scouts over. There's probably 4 former Girl Scouts there, and that's an easy transition because they've already bought into the scouting ethos. But we sat there and made them thrive. We made an environment, let's put it that way, where they could thrive. And from that thriving, they wanted more of their friends to be involved in it and join the group. So all of those things, I think, grouped together led to the success. And I think that we've been very fortunate. It requires everybody to be on the same page. And it hasn't always been easy, as growing never is. Our challenges before were, hey, we need more scouts. And now it's, hey, we have a lot of scouts. How do we manage, this large troop that we hadn't had before? Before we were just a patrol in Troop 21, and not even a large patrol. And now we are equal to our boy troop in size and breadth and cadence of activities. And that's been pretty amazing. I guess I'll leave you with this and then I'll send it back to Kip because my time's almost up. The greatest gift that 2176 has given me, or the greatest gift of being a leader or involved in the recruitment of this, is what the scouts give to you every single day as they grow and as they thrive. that is something that you can't replace. And when you create an environment and you get the adults excited to see their children in a different light, and those kids thrive because you've given them the space to do that and to fail forward and to succeed past the failure. I'm telling you right now, the problem, at least for us, and maybe I'm overselling this, kind of took care of itself. We created an environment that they wanted to be in, and from that, we created a troop we always dreamed of.
Okay, hey, you build a great program and the kids will come, and then you just keep it going. But the big key is scout led, because if they're running it, they're bought into the program. They're excited to do the activities, and we just sometimes coach them. Sometimes you have to go tell the senior patrol leader, hey, you got some new scouts at the back. Need to send your troop guides over there to welcome them into the troop and make them feel like it's a great place for them to be. And so we constantly kind of subconsciously recruit, but you build a great program and the scouts will be there.
Well, hello, everyone. My name is Mike Pfeifhaus. I'm the Deputy Scout Executive here for Scouting Colorado, and I've also had the opportunity to be an Assistant Scoutmaster in a troop for several years. Want to thank you for being willing and energetic to recruit for your Scout troops, and at the same time, share with you some of the opportunities that we want to be able to provide for you. You just heard some good examples from some of our troops already being successful with some peer-to-peer recruiting, with providing a quality program to not only attract new youth to our troops, but also to retain them for a longer period of time with our program. In addition to those things, I want to make you aware of some of the incentives that will be available for the month of April. This first one will apply to any new scout who joins a troop. And this is in particular to new youth who have not been in scouting, so they're not currently in a Cub Scout pack or in a scout troop. They're joining the program for the first time. There's a discount code where they can receive $40 off their national membership fee for their first year of registration. So instead of $85 to join our program, it'll only be $45 for them. A little bit more of a comfortable entry point for families making that decision this time of year. So that's number one, is a $40 discount on their registration. Partnered with that, we want to make sure that all of our new scouts have the invitation and opportunity to attend summer camp. We know that is one of the most significant retention factors, is when a scout goes to summer camp and has a great experience, they stay with that troop. So that new scout that just joined our program can also get a $200 discount to our summer camp at McNeil Scout Ranch. So they can go and enjoy that week. They can really start to build their rank advancement through the program that we have available there. And they can do that at a better opportunity for the point in time where they're joining your troop to be able to attend camp and not have had the opportunity to really participate in any fundraisers and build up the capacity for that summer camp fee. Third thing is for our current scouts. So for all of our youth currently in a troop, want to make sure they have an opportunity to invite their friends. So using those peer-to-peer methods or anything else that our scouts want to do, they bring in 2 friends during the month of April. They, as the current scout, will also earn a $200 discount to summer camp at McNeil Scout Ranch. So that gives us 3 different opportunities to share the messaging and promote the opportunity to join, both for new youth and our current scouts to be active and go out there and recruit their friends. The final thing I want to share with you, and you may be asking yourself right now, where do I find all of these resources? We have consolidated them in one location for you. So if you go to our newly redeveloped website, scoutingcolorado.org, near the top right-hand corner, you'll see a red join button. Simply click that join button. You'll find all the resources that we have placed there and will continue to develop for you, including those 3 incentives that I just mentioned with the codes that you can use on how to get those. So anything that you need or want, please feel free to reach out, contact your district chair, your district commissioner, your district executive, and share with them what you want and what you are hoping to achieve through your recruitment efforts. We want to be able to provide as much of that resource to you as possible. So let us know. Make sure that we can partner with you and support your troop recruiting. If you have a good relationship with your local elementary or middle school to recruit those 5th, 6th, 7th graders, we'd be happy to go to the school and talk with them, maybe help set up a recruitment event at your school so that you can draw new youth into your scout troops. We appreciate all that you do for scouting. Thank you for being eager and energetic to help grow your troops, and let us know what we can do to help.